Hello and welcome to Sage Thyme. This is Lillian here with you today, bringing you your 2024 constellation of Taurus reading. So what does that mean? That means not only if you're a Sun Taurus or your big 3 plus Mercury, but also any other transits, points, and or most definitely house placements of Taurus in your natal chart, and how from this reading you might glean some insight and perspective of what you can focus on in relation to the sign of Taurus, as well as any planetary transits that are happening this year. And just to highlight, if you don't already know, we have currently Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus, and Jupiter will be finishing or just finished its retrograde in Taurus, and will be completing its transit through Taurus this year, moving into the sign of Gemini, as well as Uranus, which has been in Taurus for a bit longer and is going to be stationing direct soon, and will be slowly moving through the last handful of degrees or so of Taurus, moving then into Gemini, creating a very different dynamic of Uranus, now the innovator and the shocking new beginnings and upstarts and awarenesses, in the more solid earthbound sign of Taurus will then be moving into the air sign of Gemini. So Jupiter, planet of expansiveness, fortune, diplomacy, and understanding, translation, and interpretation. These are characteristics that are moving through the sign of Taurus. And so keeping that in mind with any other transits or planets, points that you have, as well as the house placement of Taurus in your natal chart, this reading will glean some insight for you for how to navigate and reflect or be aware of what might be coming up with those Taurian aspects of you, because we are all 12 signs, of course. And for any of you who are still learning astrology or want to know more about astrology, I do want to let you know that I offer natal birth chart interpretations, as well as looking into them in a more in-depth, nuanced detail for those who already are familiar with their natal chart. So I can offer a nice broad spectrum of how your natal chart speaks to you, and then also how to read and understand it. So that information on how to book an appointment is listed down below in the description box, as well as the cards that I'll be using here today, and any other information that you might be interested in. So let's get started. I'm going to begin with an herbal plant card from the Herbal Astrology. This will be the plant and its medicine. It came out really quickly. That came out more honestly. The plant and its medicine, and how it pertains to the sign of Taurus, the constellation of Taurus, and your natal influence therein. Okay, so we have lemon balm, and it says in the caption down below, nurture. So I'm going to allow you to have a nice look at that. If you want to pause the screen, that's fine. We'll come back to discussing this at the end of the reading and see how it ties in more detail. Hi, Tauruses. Oh, I already did shuffle these. That's fine though. So we'll work with the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. And let's see what the cards have to say about who you, as a either Sun Taurus or multi-planet Taurus and otherwise, are and are into with the Taurian influences of 2024. All right. Interesting. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll start with these 4. So the first card of the first 2 cards that popped out is the Ace of Visions. And this would be akin to the Ace of Swords. And here we have the iconic swan seeing her reflection in the pond. But not so much just her reflections. She's seeing, she's seeing herself, viewing herself as her higher perspective. Now I know this, the swan in the reflection has a crown and is bejeweled. And so certainly that can be thought of as viewing the self from a place of vanity, but that's not what I'm seeing in this card today and what I'm hearing. Especially because this card came out on top of it and in reverse. And it is the Black Shook. Okay, so it's Roman numeral 13. That's the Death and Transformation card. And it's in reverse, which is telling me that you have shifted from that deep and ongoing ponderings of the self in a future vision of being adorned and glorified and accolades and sparkly and better than who you are. And rather now you see that future self as someone who has that on the inside. It's the beauty and the adornments and the adoration is all coming from within. It's coming from you. Because you have done the death and rebirth work. You have faced your shadow. I know, right? So ominous. It reminds me again, this is the second time this come up. Pardon me. The never-ending story. And I think it's Atreyu is the character's name, is being chased by this dark, ominous shadow wolf, in the caverns and hidden in this ongoing pursuit of something that he's looking for, but he's also being chased by his own shadow. And so here you've taken that on. You fought the shadow and you lost, because usually that's how it goes. And when you lost, you were able to realize the truth of who you are. And that is the eternal infinite soul. That is the one that is expansive cosmically in the most infinite ways, and is also finite and in the physical reality here with this 8 of boons. The person who is doing day-to-day tasks and creating from those tasks. You're focused and you're intent on your work and you're present, and you're also able to have a foothold while in what we call the common reality. You also have a foothold in the higher, more etheric and dimensional and intricate and rich aspects of you. And part of that is because you've brought them together. You don't have a foothold in one and a foothold in the other necessarily. Like I said, it's more like they've come together and reconciled, and that's become part of your craft. And that's so Taurian, right? You're bringing the magic into the day-to-day creations. And I'm drawn in on this focal point with the bird in the nest, which is bringing me to the Taurus season, the May season of the spring, of the new life. And I'm wondering if when Jupiter does transit out of Taurus into the sign of Gemini, you're going to really be seeing a greater expansion of how you can take these small yet magically infused day-to-day moments of creation, whether it's making a meal or doing your job, your 9 to 5, raising your children, which is all day and night, whatever it is, you're bringing that magic into it. And I'm really feeling into that Jupiter transition from Taurus into Gemini, where it enhances. You start getting more and more information of the possibilities that now you can do with that to expand on your craft. And yeah, certainly more monetary abundance can come from it. And I feel like that's not going to be your focus. That's more like an aftermath, a side effect of you being so beautifully internally involved in your process while actively participating in the day-to-day. And so the next card that came up is the 5 of Visions. Okay. These cards are a little bit new to me, so I like what I see coming up. Okay, here we go. Sorry. So we've got this toad sitting on his lily pad, and he's observing this woman who is barreling down the trail because she must have been playing with her ball and it got loose and rolled down the path into the water. And so she's frantically running towards it to get it before it floats away. And the frog is simplistically and slightly bemused watching this whole thing transpire. 5 of Visions is speaking to me as the same card-ish in essence to the 5 of Swords. And 5 of Swords can be that loss of intent and plan. And this woman had a plan. She was playing with her ball. She was doing a certain thing, and then it got away from her, and it's going to float off. And the frog's really showing like, that happens. So this is not only a reminder that happens, best laid plans and all, but also we can be in a place of preparation that all things change. Not all things go according to plan. In fact, most things don't. And there is a wonderful way called the Wu Way that we can, the way of the river, we can be present to, participate in, and be in peaceful contentment with the way things are. And so play with the ball, create your games, play your games, do the things that you are going to do, build the things that you are going to do. And if you make plans from them, fantastic. Release the attachment to those plans and allow the enjoyment of whatever pitfalls and triumphs come from it to be a part of your experience. Not only after it happens and you feel disappointed or sad, and sometimes really sad, loss and hardship and things can play into that, most definitely, but this doesn't have to be a polar experience. We can go through, and I can say this with tremendous authenticity, we can go through some of the most adverse times and unimaginable sufferings and still keep returning to a place of peace in the midst of the depths of the suffering. And it doesn't always mean that you're perfect at it. In fact, let go of being good at any of that. That's part of the control mechanism. Allowing yourself and the Taurian nature of you to be grounded and fertile and ready to let sprout up whatever is ready to sprout up. And if some of your new nourishing plants get trampled on and destroyed or dry out because they didn't get water, or the slugs and snails chomp them up right as they're about to get perfectly perfect, allow yourself to be in the possibility of non-disappointment, non-personalization. Allow yourself to witness it and go, that happened. And you can say that and then say, now what? And you can also say, that happened. And simply be present to what's going on. And let the world inform you, because the world speaks to us. And our higher self and our spirit team speak to us personally through the world in a way that only each one of us can interpret accurately. And part of the process of learning that accurate interpretation is allowing ourselves to play around with it, get it wrong, and navigate through it, observe, take notes mentally, on paper, whatever works. And in the process of that discovery and that learning of how to translate and interpret the language of the world around us, we are also able to enhance the infused magic, the alchemy, and the potency of our joy and contentment and peace in all of our creative endeavors. Again, creative being everything from taking out the garbage to sitting in stillness with your cat or your dog or your lizard or snake, whatever your pet is, in your lap. It's reading that book to your little one at night and being fully immersed in the peace and contentment of easing your little one, your child or grandchild, into a restful and rejuvenating slumber by embodying that essence as you are reading it and allowing your voice to be carried and influenced by that essence. An essence that, again, is engaging with you in the world all around you and through you from the center, very core of who you are. So now, I'm going to do one more card just to see, just in case. There we go. So this card came out in reverse. And I like that it came out. It's an interesting one, I thought at first, to come out at the end. It's called the Liar. And it came out in reverse. You know, lying and the label, the liar, of course, has been weaponized so much that it can be a little bit difficult to hear in terms of, is that something that I or you need to consider and reflect on? But when you look at it from a perspective of, there is always a layer of greater truth, deeper, the further in the depths of ourselves that we go. You can understand that at any level of knowledge and knowingness, when you go deeper, it kind of makes the former level a bit of a liar. Not because that's what you intended, but because you don't know what you don't know. And there's a beautiful sense of humility in recognizing that the liar, when approaching life from a state of humble presence and humility of not knowing everything, the liar then becomes more of the child or the fool card, the beginner's mind. And it no longer becomes demonized within your mind, your psyche, and your heart. And so even if somebody comes up to you and says, well, before you said it was this, this, and this, you know, if you were in a state of humility when you said what is no longer true, then you know that you were expressing not so much of an opinion or a fact that you were trying to force upon others, but a perspective of where you were. And even if you weren't, and you were in a place perhaps of arrogance and hubris and righteousness, and you go deeper into the layers of your shadow self, and you face the parts of you that recognize, oh, I can be a bit of a know-it-all so-and-so, then you go from that sense of reflective narcissism into inward reflective compassion and awareness and enhancement of the intricacies of your growth process, of your development process. And that puts this so-called liar card into a place more of wisdom and humility, and a demonstrative expression for everybody to see that we are all on this journey together. We are all going down this path together. You can see his staff is upside down. But when he is inverted, the staff, his power, that which holds him up, is upright. And it's also wrapped in the coil of the snake, the kundalini. There is no greater sign of ongoing developing internal evolution than the kundalini. Well, at least in terms of historically, right? So this is a wonderful, these two cards of greater challenge and self-limiting programs and ways of being are in reverse. So you've already done the work, and you may be being called into in the year of 2024, and particularly in your Taurian ways. You know, sometimes they say Tauruses are stubborn, the aspects of you that might be stubborn or rigid, but also might be in that fertile ground waiting to grow something new, holding the new seeds of possibility and potential. There are these different dichotomies playing in within you, whether it's your sun sign or your fourth house or Uranus and Jupiter traveling through them. So be mindful of these. Check back in on this reading and see how it's unfolding in your life and how it's trying to speak to you and asking you to see more about who you are and who you could be, and open into that as the year progresses. So let's look back on lemon balm. And you know, I feel like before I even touch on reading any of the description in the book, lemon balm, just looking at the image, we've got the honeybee above her. She has that halo of enlightenment. She has another bee to her side above her platter of fertile new growth. It looks like lilies, like a lily pad, potentially. And more bees all around her and the stars and so forth. And she's embellished with stars on her. And there's no expression of, look at me now. It's more a contemplative observation of, I grew this and I didn't do it alone. She's got her transdimensional bee helpers. And they move from one dimensional reality to another and then another and back again. And as one of them is at her crown above her halo, it is the aspect of her mind that goes interdimensionally, transdimensionally, from within herself into all the realms of the cosmos. And she is connected with the medicine of her plant. She is elevated by it, and the wisdom and knowledge and experience and fallibility that she brings from creating those plants is shared with the stars, with the cosmos, and you can see those stars adorned all over her robe. And there at the top, I see the sigil for Jupiter and Ceres, I believe, is the other one, the goddess. No, I'm not going to say on that for sure. We'll look it up really briefly if you want to stay tuned for that. Oh, and also, I would like to thank you while we're here on this for all the likes and subscribes to help support this channel and me, and it's very encouraging, of course, as well. So thank you. Okay, Lemon Balm, Melissa officinalis, upright. It discusses the Earth Mother, access to the ways of the Earth, planetary guardian, stewardship, balance of feelings and emotions, nurturance. And I did want to bring that up. She does have that Venusian Libra balance to her. So you may even look at your chart and see what aspects are in Libra that might be influencing Taurus in your natal chart. And again, if you want help with that and you want a little support in that exploration, definitely let me know and we can do that together, set up an appointment. So she's balancing her staff of wisdom, which is this blooming kind of mushroom thing, with her platter of what she's created, potential and creation. So yes, Jupiter and Ceres, and I'll read the guidance. It says, give yourself permission to mother the deepest core of yourself. Listen to your inner child. I say right as I hear the elementary school bus stopping outside my house. Listen to your inner child. Retrieve the unconscious parts of your past. Forgive yourself and liberate the inner child that has remained silenced. Lemon Balm assists us in reconnecting to the gentle power of nurturance. Her soft and gentle touch reminds us to connect to the Great Mother in all her shapes and forms. The medicine of the honeybee is here to serve you, prompting you to ask yourself, where can I soften and receive? Right? Receiving the Empress being the archetype of Taurus. How can I access my inner child to access great wholeness? Honeybee symbolizes the magic of nectar, vitality, prosperity, and the great inner and outer wealth that is ahead. So spend some time with Melissa officinalis, with Lemon Balm. If you have some in your yard or have a way to access some, go ahead and connect with it. If you don't, you can always, really, truly, it works. You can look up a photographic image of Lemon Balm or even an illustrated one from somebody you can feel really puts their heart into their illustrations, and connect with it. Get still, be present, and call in the ancestors and the spirit wisdom of Lemon Balm. Thank you, friends. I so appreciate you, and have a beautiful, wonderful 2024 in all your Taurian aspects. Many blessings.